What is up? We are here today on Skyfire Live. We got some interesting things to cover. Not only are we going to turn this music down, but today is going to be kind of I don't know, a special day. I don't know how we want to call it, but like UFO Shane and I have a lot of background information and general information about a lot of cases that happened in the 80s, from paranormal cases to UFO cases. And today we really wanted to focus on, just for this show today, on a particular case called the Jackie Hernandez haunting, also known as the San Pedro haunting. For some reason, I think Shane and I, maybe we're children of the 80s, dude. Like, we just love this case. And Jackie Hernandez comes across as kind of a hot mess, and it just isn't. It's so interesting. For those who don't know, the Jackie Hernandez haunting culminated. I mean, it was like she was reporting that her house was haunted. Different instances would happen. Walls oozing ectoplasm. She reported like seeing severed heads floating around, giant hands touching her back, bruising her body. And then she actually had a camera crew come in, and camera crew was a bunch of skeptics. I mean, they just thought that she was crazy, and they recorded their night there. They didn't sleep or anything. They were just like generally like looking around, and the things that happened while the camera crew was there is just, I think, is what sealed the deal or set this case in stone. Without further ado, we're going to get UFO Shane in the mix. UFO Shane, welcome to the show, dog.
Hey, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude,
I
I'm
would like
so
to.
excited to talk about this with you, bro.
Oh, dude, this is one of my favorite cases. Her walls did not ooze ectoplasm, they oozed human plasma.
Plasma,
Plasma.
ectoplasma. No, that's crazy because they tested it, right?
Oh, yes, it was tested, and it was
Ooh.
found not blood, right? So plasma is what flows through your body and helps the blood.
Right, right.
And it'd be one thing if her wall was just oozing blood. I mean, I guess if your wall's oozing anything, that's a little bit weird. But her
Yeah, it's not normal.
walls ooze ecto. I have this weird like white streak going across my face. I don't
That's a
know what.
lens flare, and I think it's adding to the spook. For me, it's got a J.J. Abrams kind of spook to it. I'm into it, dude. Let it
Yeah,
ride.
I can't fix it. I don't know what's going on right now. I don't know what that is. But no, her walls oozed human plasma. So like when you go to the plasma center and you're donating for burn victims and stuff like that, they pull your blood through a siphon or whatever. I don't know the technical term, but they pull it in this thing and it goes into a centrifuge and it spins and it spins and
Oh,
it
and the
spins.
plasma
And
separates from the blood. It's like a
exactly.
white substance. Okay, okay.
And that's what plasma is. So like if her walls, I mean, I guess if you want to, I don't care what if your walls are oozing anything, sewage or because a lot of this stuff can be like pipe related. But
Hmm.
her walls were oozing human plasma. And so that's weird. That's not, I've never had that happen. I've never like gone in my kitchen to make a McMuffin and like just been like, oh, my wall's oozing a weird gooey substance that's $800 a vial on the black market. So I don't know. But it was not ectoplasm, which it was human plasma. Yeah.
My walls haven't oozed plasma in years, so I'm wondering what she did to get rid of it and how it started. And I'm playing. It's never happened to me. I mean, I've never seen a UFO, but I have had a paranormal encounter in a house, and like, there's something about Jackie Hernandez's case, Shane, that like it I feel it, not a kinship with, but I understand it. You know what I mean? Like, because like, when did this case happen? In like 89? Was it 88, 89?
Um, 1 second, too, but I gotta put my headset on.
Oh, you're good. You're good. But yeah, I mean, again, Shane and I are from the 80s, dude. I was alive in 85. So like, around the time I was having my experiences is kind of like the time that this was going on. And I remember it being kind of like spooky then. Spooky then. I'm gonna look for
Well, when it comes to Jackie, I have talked to Jackie. I have literally spoken with her.
mhm,
I met her randomly in YouTube comments, and she liked what I had to comment on,
mhm.
and she said, "I'm actually Jackie Hernandez." And I was like, "You're not Jackie Hernandez." And yeah, she turned to be Jackie, and she was a yep. There she is with
That's
her ex
Jackie and
husband.
her ex-husband Al
Yep,
Hernandez, right?
that's it. That's Al. That's Al. So her and Al, they separated. They had a newborn baby. and she moved to, oh my God, let me think real quick. I think it was 591 11th Street in San Pedro, California. And you can like the house is still there, and they separated. And she was going to school at the time, and she just like she unfortunately got a divorce and or whatever, and she just went to do her own thing, and she was struggling. And this is like 1992, 1993, somewhere around there, and or 1989 actually, I think. And she's a struggling single mom trying to raise her kids, and she gets a babysitter, and the babysitter comes into this pretty big in the story as well. And just imagine like the emotional shit she had to be going through, right? And it's wild. And she has one of, in my opinion, and guys, you know me, I am the biggest skeptic ever. And even though I'm an experiencer, I still don't believe everything that's just because I saw something or I experienced something doesn't mean that what someone's telling me is true. So I think when it comes to Jackie and her case, it is the best case ever recorded for paranormal experiences. And I don't mean aliens. I don't mean like Zeta Reticuli. There's a couple cases in the UK that come close, but they're kind of debunked weirdly with the kids, and then they'll say ventriloquism or whatever. But Jackie has none of that. And I spoke to her, and she didn't. I just thought I just believed her. And I talk about like orbs a lot because that's what I saw. And there's a picture. I don't know if we have it. I hope we do. Of her in her kitchen with this blue gelatinous ball of light.
Yes. Okay, I'm gonna look for that right now because it's just so interesting, dude. Like, there's this documentary that was made, and what I'm gonna do is kind of scrub through it. You guys bear with me. Okay?
The 1997 one.
Yeah, dude. Like, and it's just like because
the photographs
that came from the case are so intriguing. And I mean, for me, I agree with everything you said, that this is like one of the most well-documented paranormal cases out there, right? And what makes it for me is how much you get to see inside Jackie's head. Because she wears her heart on her sleeve. She's not guarded. She doesn't seem that protected in terms of like, she's just like, listen, dude, like, what was the one thing that fascinated me the most when she was like, listen, I was in my house, recently divorced, right? In 1988 is when she got divorced. She moves into this house in San Pedro, or separated from Al Hernandez, right? She moves in this house with her 2 kids, and she's struggling. I mean, no single parent wants to be in a new house alone. And she said that her neighbor, one of her best friends, was looking in her attic and found like a jar of coins that was like worth a lot of money. And so Jackie's like, hell, dude, I got an attic. So she sticks her head up there, and she sees like this like head, and it's just like, what? And she like almost falls down the washing machine. Like, it just seems like, for her to preface that story, like, hey, I just wanted to go up there and see if there was coins up in my attic too. Like, why would there be a jar of coins in your attic too, Jackie? Well, what's going on? And it just, that kind of logical or illogical thinking, it permeates this case.
And that's not the only time she saw a floating head. Like, oddly enough, she had writing on her. The weird. Okay, so for me, like, women are. I mean, let's just be honest here. They're more emotional, or they're more like emotional levels. I think have a lot to do with the paranormal. And women, especially during a divorce,
that's fair.
You just lost your husband, and like maybe it was your fault. Maybe who cares? What happens is that now that your home that was together is now broken apart, and you're upset. And she moves away, and she goes to this house, and then all this crazy stuff starts happening. And I'm talking like writing on the wall, like Al's name was written in her closet. Her baby is having bruises. She's sleeping on the couch, and she's seeing a floating head. She goes in her attic and sees a floating head. And we'll talk more about that. The attic comes into play a lot with this. And my thing with this case is not really so much like, because we could just say that Jackie is lying, but there are literally scores of people that saw this and were like, oh my God. Like, could you imagine being, she brought in a team of paranormal researchers.
And Should we just let a little bit of this documentary play to
Oh,
kind of
dude, yeah,
so we can
100%.
hear? Let's just hear what she's got to
100%.
say. Okay, so this is filmed by
Oh, you
Barry
got the attic
Conrad.
video.
Dude, this is the San Pedro haunting. Now, I
Real
don't
quick,
know.
Tuba.
Sure.
If you guys are looking at the right picture of the dude coming out of the attic, I want you to take a look below his chin. I want you to look at what that is. Okay, just I'm not gonna say anything more than that. But go ahead, Tuba.
This is really creepy. Okay, so
Yeah,
we're gonna play this in sections. We're testing the limits of what we can do. We don't know. I mean, this is from 1992, dude. This is old. But I feel like you guys got to see this again. Like, these are all the points that are intriguing for us. So check it out. This is the San Pedro haunting. Jackie Hernandez. Here we go. Not sold on the intro, but
Jackie, you moved into the 11th Street house in November of
We're
1988.
supposed to be the old
What
man.
made you believe it was haunted?
When I moved in, I didn't believe it was haunted. I didn't think of that. I felt a presence around the house, and I was wondering why I had some of the feelings that I was having, but there was no activity happening, or I didn't witness anything, so I just didn't think that it was haunted. First, I felt a presence, and I had always been the type of person who's always been afraid to be alone. I wasn't afraid of ghosts. I was afraid of people breaking into my house. But for some reason in this house, which was a very easy house to break into, if you looked at it, I was...
when I say that she wears her heart on her sleeve, dude, look at like a very easy house to break into. Like, what was on her mind that's like the top listed like fact about the house?
Well, I would like to say as well, like, you're talking about a woman who had a husband that was her protector. Okay, this is the early 90s. I know we have a different belief on that now. But she goes off on her own and she moves into a house that she believes is very easily broken into.
Right.
She doesn't feel comfortable. She's telling you right now, I was scared of everything and my emotions were wild. And then what she's about to say happened to her.
Dude, she's a woman on edge. Late 80s, early 90s. Must have been a whole different time.
Not afraid. And I felt that some kind of presence, but I never really thought about it, of what it was or what it, I just accepted it as being, okay, I'm not afraid. That's good. That's a good thing. Then my ex-husband, not ex yet, I was separated from him, his house burned down and he temporarily moved in with me. When he moved in or stayed with us, he wasn't going to stay more than a couple weeks, but when he did come to the house, that's when the first thing started happening. I remember the very first thing that happened was when I walked by my desk, and Al was sitting at the desk and a friend of mine was sitting on the couch, and when I walked by the desk, I wasn't close to it, I was a couple feet away, but it was as if this thing came tumbling at me. It was a pencil holder and the pencils came out, and I knew I didn't touch it, and I remember looking at Al and him looking at me, and with this question, how did that happen, But that was, you could, an incident like that you can easily brush away. But then after that, that was the first thing that happened. And then little by little, more and more things started happening. I was pregnant at the time with my daughter, and I frequently had to use the restroom at night. I always woke up once a night. But the strange thing about that was I always woke up at midnight. I always, regardless what time I went to sleep at night. If I went to sleep at 7, I wake up at midnight to go to the bathroom. If I woke up at
there we go.
11, or if I went to sleep at 11, I'd wake up at midnight. It didn't matter the time. It was.
No matter what time she went to bed, she woke up at midnight. She can go to bed at 11:30. She wakes up at midnight. There's this weird element with paranormal instances that deal with time. Triple digit time is a pretty big thing. Like, I mean, there's this idea of noticing 444, 333, and then things happening. Then a lot of people will wake up in the middle of the night and realize it's 333, and then like it's different. Something weird is happening with the internal clock and these numbers. Very, very trippy. We'll keep this going though. It's just the things that she mentions along the line are like, okay, I'm glad she remembered that. I'm glad she brought this stuff up.
was always at midnight. And usually when at that time, something would happen. I remember one time I woke up and all the window shades in the house, so we had shades and not curtains, they all went up simultaneously all at the same time, really hard. And that freaked me out. That's when I saw the apparition sitting on the bunk beds twice. My son and I, we didn't sleep in the bedroom. We had the bedroom was set up for the kids. I had a crib in there and a bunk bed for him. But he slept in the front room with me, and I didn't have a bed at the time. We were sleeping on a mattress on the floor. And I had a cat at the time, too, that I just recently got, and the cat was like a really mellow cat. But when it got into the house, it was strange. It acted really peculiar. It would chase the shadow around the house, and it would at times when it would just act abnormal. It would follow the lights. It would chase the shadows. It would arch its back like cats do when they're really afraid of something. It wouldn't go outside of the house, but it wouldn't come back in once it was outside either. You could tell when animals sense something like that. They really did. But you know, after Al moved in, he only stayed a week before I kicked him out, and then.
The way
Brock,
she just
kicked his ass out.
Yeah, like she slips in these like kind of significant like events, just straight up. Guys, I want to remind everybody, please like and subscribe. All right, this is Skyfire News Live. We go over almost every day, every day so far, all the stuff related to UFO news. There's a lot of stuff going on in the news this weekend, but Shane and I really felt it necessary to cover some of this stuff that normally gets left out of the UFO or paranormal thing, which is these stories include orbs and premonitions and visions of people. And a lot of people who see craft end up having these events happen in their home. So there is a correlation here.
When it comes to the paranormal, like we all because we all come from I think a lot of people come from like the UFO side of it, but
right,
that's not really all of it. I think more people have had paranormal experiences. You look at Ghost Adventures and these other shows that have gotten taken off. These are ghost experiences. I mean, Zach Baggins is famous because he took a picture of a brick levitating and flying across the room. That's where he started. This stuff isn't just aliens, and it's not just interdimensional beings or cryptoterrestrials. It's the paranormal means outside the normal.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like to say that out of all the cases that I've studied, Jackie is sitting here in her interview here, and she's telling you exactly what happened. My ex-husband moved in, we kicked him out. And imagine you let your ex-husband move in because his house, you feel bad. Yeah, we just broke up, we just lost our marriage. But he was still my husband at one point in time. We have kids together. And so I let him stay with me. And then now he's gone. She's not.
And what's the first thing that she sees?
Well,
you know what I mean? Like, it's just so like there's this masculine feminine kind of dynamic that's ingrained in this haunting. It's very trippy. We're gonna kind of skip around, right? We don't have time to watch the whole documentary, and I honestly don't know if that's legal anyway.
God, I wish we did,
dude. I mean,
I'm really surprised that you have these clips because I had to buy this on VHS off of eBay so that I could watch it on a VCR. That's how I got it.
Dude, hearts in the chat for Shane's dedication.
I paid $97 for this VHS.
Dude,
8 years ago.
Yeah, 8 years ago. The YouTube era is like crazy, right? But we're gonna get to like kind of her first sighting real quick. You might find me skipping around.
And it was at the time at midnight when I was using the apparition. My friends animals sense something like that. They really did. But you know, after Al moved in, he only stayed a week before I kicked him out, and then that's when things started happening. And my friends started witnessing things also. The apparition was an old man. He was very thin. He was full-figured. He was sitting cross-legged on the bunk beds the first time that I saw him, and it was at the time at midnight when I was using the bathroom, and you had to go through the bedroom in order to get to the bathroom. And there was always a light on in the back. It was a yellow light. It was on in the closet, so there was light in the room. It wasn't as if I was going through a dark room. And I saw him sitting on the bed, and I turned real quick. And even though I didn't see him when I turned, I knew what I had seen. He was very grayish in appearance. And
listen, guys, in the 80s and 90s, they really thought they had Hollywood makeup down for TV. and they did not. They
Yeah,
did
they
not.
did not. They did
Uh,
not.
this is like she did not see a bloody, cracked faced, nasty zombie looking dude. She saw an old man. And
Yeah.
this is where it gets kind of personal, not personal, but this is where I feel a personal connection. I grew up in a haunted house. I don't know how else to describe it. It was scary. It was weird. There was weird things happening all the time. I wouldn't say nothing about it because it wasn't celebrated or known about. But I ended up finding a classmate who something similar was happening to them. So I can kind of study that and like look through it. Moved out of the house later on, and I ended up talking to my mom about it. And then she was like, "Oh, yeah, I saw stuff all the time. Why didn't you ever tell me?" And I was like, "Well, I was a kid and I thought you'd think I was crazy or something." She's like, "No, no, no. Here's what I saw." And she described to me a thin old man in a red flannel that would be standing around the corner of the
There you
room.
go.
And so when I hear this woman, like, it's always a red flannel, like, and then what's interesting too is if you look at these, the flannel, like, the difference is my mom said she saw somebody with like a hunting hat with like the flaps around the ears,
Right.
right? But like, we got to remember what styles and stuff were. Like for me, I almost think, hey, could this red flannel and kind of like woodsy like man, could this be a archetype for masculinity or a father figure or something, right? Because why is this so consistent? Is there really a ghost out there running around with the red flannel? What's going on, dude? What is happening with this very consistent, very like
What projection of your emotional distress is happening right now?
exactly,
My question.
exactly. Like, because these, my mom and Jackie did the same age. Like, was there a television program on when they were kids? Right. What was happening that they keep seeing this figure?
What's the name of the dude with the beard who was he was like always in the woods? I get called him all the time. I can't remember it now, but
Oh my God, dude! There was a guy in
the gif of him like smiling with his beard.
There's Robert Redford. There's that gif where he's like nodding, like, yeah, right.
So flannel like was a big deal for a long time, and I just want to make this very clear. Like, whatever Jackie's saying right now, whatever I believe this case because I've seen this stuff myself, and like, you can all be sitting here right now enjoying the space, and then you could have a plate. You could have your cabinet door open, a plate levitate across the room. You can sit down on your table. They can levitate back in there, and then the door closes, and you never know about it. But it's when you see it that you start questioning things. But Jackie had way more than that. She had her walls oozing plasma. She has pictures of the balls of light, and I think we'll get into the paranormal team that came to our house here in a minute.
That's where it gets juicy. So again, I keep saying I'm going to skip around, but I get lost in these scenes. She's a little long-winded, right? So, but this was an important part. This first sighting, right? Like she said, like I turned fast, but I knew what I had seen. That's interesting. Okay, real quick, here we go. We're going back to the flannel man.
He looked as if he was very angry and evil at the same time, which made me feel uneasy. It wasn't like a friendly, welcoming type thing. It was like he was very angry and he of his shirt and his.
Did you feel?
Well, my purpose for going in the attic in the first place was a friend of mine who lived in an old house. She found some money in her attic that was, from a prior tenant who, I guess, kept it up in the attic. And I thought, I have an old house with an attic, and I was just talking to a friend of mine, Chrissy, who was there with me, and I said, well, why don't I just go up and give it a shot? What do I...
Like it's fishing. Hey, I got a guy who fished in this one creek and got a big old fish. Like that's the logic behind this movie.
Yeah, he caught an 8-pound bass. Maybe I can go there and catch a 7.5-pound bass, right? Yeah. Like, or maybe I can rip my carpet up and find an old coin. Like in LA, in Los Angeles or in California and in that general area, like maybe you can, she was struggling financially for sure, and she's doing it at school.
Dude, she didn't have a bed, dude. Like she moved out. It seemed like she moved out.
Yeah, her couch is. She had bunk beds for the kids, and then she had the couch. Like, and who here can relate to that? Like, you have your house, and like, I mean, it's if furniture is expensive, it's always.
No, she was in fresh start status, dude. She was in fresh. She was out there. She's really out there doing it. You know what I mean? Like, okay, so
got to lose. So the attic door was directly above in the laundry room. So I stood on the washing machine, and I opened the trap door and I was looking around, and I remember feeling these eyes looking at me. It was as if somebody was right behind me, just looking right at me. And I turned around and I didn't see anything. Now the attic was empty and it was dark and you couldn't see anything really. And I turned around again because I got this very uncomfortable feeling that something was definitely there and looking right at me. And as I looked towards the far side of the attic, this head, it was a chubby man, and the head started at the far side of the attic and came directly at me with. I didn't even have time to think about my reaction. My legs just gave out from underneath me. I was so scared. I didn't have time to think what it was or really look at it or, decide what I was going to do. My legs did the
Another male figure terrifying her. Very, these things got to be connected. Okay, I think she's about to start talking about when the crew shows up.
What do you remember about August 8th of 1989, the night that the paranormal research team came to the house?
Called it.
When the investigative team came, Barry Taft arrived first, and I began telling him the things that were happening around the house. And shortly after that is when Barry Conrad and Jeff came, and they knocked on the door, and I was sitting on the couch, and I just said, "Come in." Barry Conrad was the first to come in, and he had this look on his face like a kid at Christmas time. I mean, like he was gonna open up a present, like, he was really looking forward to possibly seeing.
Shout out to his fit. He's dripping. Dude, he's dripping 80s.
Look at that hair, dude.
It is sick, dude. That is sick.
God, I would mate with this man.
Yeah, I would. Wow. Yeah, for sure. Look at the sweater. The turtleneck sweater vibe, dude. I'm into it. It's like shout out to all of the people in the chat, everyone watching right now. Thank you for being here. We love doing this show for you guys. If you guys would like to, go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button. Turn the notification bells on. If you're in our Twitter fam, pop over to YouTube. Give us a sub. You know what I mean? It helps the show grow. We're 1 week into it, right? And now we're talking about Jackie Hernandez haunting of San Pedro. It is the scariest thing me and Shane know about. And we want to share with you guys. Here we go.
I only know of one other case that's even close to this, and it was in Tennessee. And I have to remember what it was. But if I have to scale all the cases I know of, if it comes from like Kecksburg or all this other stuff, when it comes to, dude, hell yeah, I can't. Exactly. When it comes to this, Jackie is like the orichalcum standard, and orichalcum being the metal used in Atlantis, possibly. I hold this case up to
what a deep cut you got over here, dude. Shane, that's why we love you, man. You do have some of the most deep encyclopedic knowledge of these like terms and phrases, man. Like, and that's
I've read
never would have known what that ore was. All right, now let's get back to Barry Conrad, the 80s man himself.
Something. Well, Jeff comes in, and you could tell that he was very, very skeptical. And he almost was like he didn't even want to be there at that time. He would rather have been any place else but there.
They showed him on the couch.
That's what photos, I sensed from
him. He didn't want to be there.
When they started going around after I told him a few more things and answered a few more questions, they started going around the house and each doing their own thing. Jeff taking pictures of different things around the house and different spots that I had told him where things had happened. And he went up into the attic, or he stood on the washing machine, because of what I said about the disembodied head and my experience of that. Everybody was in their own separate little groups. There was a couple people just talking. And I was talking to Larry Brooks, who was an artist who was drawing pictures of certain things around the house. And Jeff came down out of the attic, and Larry Brooks asked him if he felt anything up there. And he described a feeling of being watched from behind, something looking at him. And I instantly could relate to what he felt, because I felt the same thing myself when I was up there before I saw the head. And Larry Brooks asked him if he would what he would think about going back up into the attic and taking shots with his camera over his shoulder. It was he went back up into the attic to take shots in hopes of catching something behind him, and he was just going to take shots with the camera over his shoulder.
Jesus, dude, that was crazy.
And
you see that shot? It scared the shit out of me. I've seen
Can
this.
you reverse that? That was wild, dude.
I've seen this before, and that I was like, "Well, is there a cat up
Whoa.
there?"
Take shots in hopes of catching something behind him, and he was just going to take shots.
Ew.
Whoa.
That's one of the scariest shots, dude, and it's in camera.
Oh,
Holy moly!
it's
I
like,
gotta
hey, I'm looking
screenshot
down.
this.
Like, whoa.
Dude, this is gonna be our next. This is my next profile picture, dude. This is
Good
crazy.
God almighty, man.
It's
I would
scarier
like to-
than
I would like to-
AI
I would
2.
say, Hood Hustler asked, any other similar stories recently? This one was still one of the most terrifying cases. No. Unfortunately, no. There's nothing that has ever come close to this. There are cases in the UK that are similar, like I said earlier.
Yeah.
But when it comes to this case, no. Unfortunately, no. I wish there were more for personal reasons, not that I want people to experience any of this ever. But when it comes to the paranormal being real, for me, this case is like a just solid point in the fact that people experience weird things in their homes, and sometimes it goes off the rails. And we're very lucky, I think, that this is as documented as it is. When you're listening to Jackie talk right now, look at her eyes, look at her face, man. She's just telling you what happened. Like I have a really, really, really good bullcrap meter, and I call people out on bullcrap all the time. This isn't like Corbell or Knapp. They've never covered this case ever. Why? Why haven't they? Because this is the case that is legit. I mean,
Yeah.
Jackie's just a single mom who's just telling me, hey, I mean, I rented a house. I just got divorced, and this dude's looking at me from my attic, like it's this case is terrifying because you know why? Because it could happen to you, and it happened to me. It happened to me, and
there is a tactileness to this, right? You can almost feel it because there was something scary that happened too. Shane, are you familiar with the case of what the film The Exorcist is based off of?
Oh yeah.
So there's this guy. The name is I think it's a pen name or whatever. But the Exorcism of Roland Doe. It's an anonymous boy, but this happened in the 1940s in America, right? And that's what the film The Exorcist was based off of. And there's all these crazy events, and I guess I've heard this from several people. The nexus of that was that this kid was left alone for a long time, and he had something like a Ouija board in his room, and like no one really knew that, and he was just in there messing with it, and he opened a portal to hell, and then they couldn't close it, and he was like and this kid grew up and went to work for NASA after the exorcism. So that's a real fact.
It's
he
like
ended up working for
stuff,
NASA,
right? Like yeah. And when it comes to Ouija boards or whatever, and I know it's made by a gaming company or whatever, but talking boards have been around since forever.
Oh, dude. I mean, like they were doing this stuff like in the late 1800s with all these different spiritualist movements.
They were doing it 1700 years ago.
Oh yeah.
They were doing it. Talking boards and ways to contact the unknown have always existed, and they've had results that aren't normally good. Paranormal Scholar does a really good show on. She did a whole show on how the Ouija boards weren't real, and then like 6 months later, she's like, "Never mind, I backed that whole thing, discount that whole thing. They are real, and that I didn't do it correctly the first time." And so you have to be really careful.
Shout out to Ashers. I don't trust talking boards. We don't either.
Yeah.
We don't either, dude. I'm not doing tarot cards. I'm not doing none of that. Teach their own.
Now, if Skyfire News wants me to do talking boards and then dive into a crypt with cameras all over my body, I'm all in. Like I'll if
we're insured for that.
I'm just saying, if a portal opens to me in front of me and I have to dive through it for mankind, and I have a way to record it, I'm in. But I'll sacrifice myself for that because I really want to know, what happened to me and what happened to Jackie. And I want to make this very clear. We're talking about Jackie Hernandez here. Look at her face. Look at her, man. She's not.
Look at this guy.
She's not lying. Now, what she experienced was something she brought on herself through her emotional distress. I don't know. Was her house actually haunted?
That's a hard way to phrase it, right? Because it's like, dude, no one's responsible for being haunted. Like how, you know what I mean? It seems involuntary. Right. But like what you said, I think is like, could there have been elements that were exacerbated, or could this be a manifestation of something that's happening on inside? That's where it kind of like starts to really play with us. And with this film crew here at Jackie Hernandez's house right now, right? Now the crew's here. we got an artist, we got a director, we got a producer, we got a film or a videographer, right? These are guys that are just there like, hey, Jackie, we're in the area, we're from the news, we're from this organization, we're going to make a film about this. We're going to come over and kind of kick it for the night. And Jackie took note of how much they were believers or how much they weren't.
They're so lucky in a weird way, in a bad way too. But could you imagine, like, hey man, I started like a paranormal group, and we're gonna go look at stuff, and then you go to this house, and you're like, oh crap, like we're like, oh shit, this is real. Oh my god, like we've gotten some EVPs before,
right?
But we'll get into here in a minute what happened. So a film crew showed up at her house, and then they have, dude, guys, if you think the story is calming down. It's not. It's about to go even further off the rails. And I believe every bit of it. I believe every single aspect of the story.
You guys got to see the look on these guys' faces.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, so real quick reminder, like and subscribe. Please hit the notification bell on. We are diving into paranormal cases of the 80s, Jackie Hernandez style. And I'm really glad to be here with you and UFO Shane, dude. Like, let's hit play on this. And what's this Barry Taft? This eyes are freaking me out.
I know, dude. Please go back.
And it was he went back up into the attic to take shots in hopes of catching something behind him, and he was just going to take shots with the camera over his shoulder. And the first time he went up and took pictures, he just stood on the washing machine. The second time he went up, he went completely into the attic.
Yep.
And when he did this, everybody, like I said, was in their own little groups talking, and we all hear this scream. We hear Jeff just this loud scream, and everybody, instantly runs to the kitchen, which is right there by the laundry room, and we see Jeff. Jeff comes out of the attic, and he looks as white as a ghost himself. He was shaking, and everybody, what happened? And Jeff said, the fucking thing took the camera right out of my hands. And he's just sitting there, he took the camera right out of my hands. And he described it as if a rope was around his camera and pulled out of his hands. And they went back up into the attic. Barry ran out to his car to get his video equipment, which he didn't bring in right away. And they went back up to look for the camera. And it took quite a while to find it. There was nothing in the attic. It was all dark. But it took them like about 45 minutes to find the camera. There was 3 guys up there looking for it. And when they did find it, the camera was on one side and the lens was on the completely other side of the attic. They were separated.
And that makes sense somehow.
Apart.
Dude, I would be like, get me out of this house.
Yeah,
dude.
45 minutes. We're in a small attic. This house is not big. You can look at it on Google Maps, just as I've done, because I love this case.
Sure.
It's not a big house. And they just, we lost our... Now, camera equipment in 1992 was not like we have now. It wasn't like, like your phone, right? Like it's not very big. But back then it was huge. And, oh man.
And it's not digital, dude. They couldn't see what's on the camera. They had to go develop the film.
Home. They had
it's
to
a
put
big
it on
thing.
They had to put tapes in things
yes.
and then run it through VCR. Yeah. I mean, they might have been using beta at the time. Who knows?
Who knows?
1992 was, I was like 7 years old when this happened.
Real quick, Shane, are these electrical posts up here that they're just raw? Like this is so weird, dude. The 80s.
Those are conduits.
Oh Lord.
Those are conduits. Now, if you cut them, I believe you would be electrocuted with at least 220 volts.
I like that it's right there where you would put your hand to brace yourself as you go down the attic.
And you know what's funny, Tupa? If you go up in that attic right now today, I guarantee it looks just like this.
Conduits and everything. And there's like a jar of money that she didn't find yet. Okay.
Maybe. Now, and once again, just imagine, like, I love the paranormal, like, and you get with your buddies, and you're like, let's investigate these things. And at Tuba, you just got called hot by Jan. That's pretty good.
Shout out to you too, Jan.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Yeah, heck yeah! Thanks for joining, Jan. We appreciate it.
So glad you guys.
By the way, I've known Tupa for a bit, but he definitely does not look how I thought he was going to look either.
Fair.
But I also think I don't look like people think I'm going to look either, like a 6'5" crazy dude. But when it comes to like this house is not big. Okay, this is a single mother renting a house in 1992. Whether you're the struggle has been the same forever. Mm-hmm. But she brought a camera crew in, and she's like, "Hey, I'm having hard times." I'm like, oh, yet another, we're going to get some EVPs. We're going to get what do you call it? What do you call it? Evidence. It's not, damn it.
Audio? You mean the audio stuff?
No, circumstantial evidence, or like you're going to get EVPs. You're going to get just like the normal stuff you always get with hauntings. And these guys come here and the walls are oozing plasma.
That's
and
what's so bizarre. They didn't have to play a tape backwards to hear the faint sound of someone going, help. Like they're like, oh, there's plasma coming out of your cupboards, and that's a trip. And what happens to this guy in this attic? Dude, we got to get to it, because I think
dude,
we got to get to it, and then we got to talk about it, because this is
I can't wait. I can't wait.
Freaky.
This is literally, guys, I can't say this enough. I mean, you guys have seen me on this show. You've probably been in my spaces. I am a skeptic, 100%. But this case, I believe every word. And I believe that it was so real that a member of this paranormal crew tried to modernize it and tried to do things that were against Jackie. And because there's always weird things that happen in these cases. And Jackie did have like a weird, personal relationship with this guy. But she was a hurt woman, living her life in the early 90s.
Yeah.
But I don't, regardless of what you can do with that, I do not disbelieve a single word she's saying. I've spoken to Jackie. I have talked to her in length.
Hold on. UFO Shane, you've spoken to Jackie?
Yeah. I talked to her on Zoom. Yeah.
Dude, how'd you, we'll get into how you set that up later, but what was that like?
It was crazy, dude. Because I had my experience, and I'm looking into cases, and I'm like, oh, none of this is what happened to me. And I actually went on Twitter and UFO Twitter to talk to people who maybe have had my same experience. Nobody. So far, no one except for Jackie. And I can't remember what video it was, where because I'm looking up all this stuff, and you're looking at the demon house, and you're looking up all the serial murderers who lived in houses and stuff, and the hauntings that happened after that, and all the movies got made, like The Haunting of Emily Rose and all this stuff. And then I came to this case, but unlike those cases, this one has documentation. It has pictures. It has witnesses that are regular people that didn't write books about it. They're just like, oh yeah, it was weird. And that's why I don't know what it was. I just felt like it was real. And I just literally, I cannot for the life of me remember what video it was, but I was like, I believe this, and I can't remember what I said. And Jackie just commented. She was like, hey, I'm actually Jackie Hernandez. And I guarantee this is all real. It followed me after this happened. My other house burned down. I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, hey, I would love to talk to you. And I got a chance to talk to her. I talked to her for like an hour and a half. Dang. And she's just as real as she is in these, I didn't feel, and I was a true believer at the time. You're talking about a dude at the time who loved Bob Lazar, loved Jeremy Corbell, loved all this stuff, which I don't anymore. But while that stuff has taken like a backseat for me, this case right here there's nothing anyone can ever tell me that would put it down. Agreed. And there's another reason why. And I think we're gonna get into it too, but keep going. Because
roll that beautiful bean footage.
Roll the beautiful footage
the only other thing that was found up there was National Geographic.
About to get crazy, guys.
Magazine.
About to get crazy.
When Barry Conrad went up with Jeff into the attic that night, a couple things had happened. First, his camera would die as soon as he went up into the attic. It would just quit. But when he brought it down, it would work. It was as if it was just some kind of power thing. It wouldn't work up there, but it would work down below. And the other thing that happened was we hear Jeff yell again, and apparently right in front of Barry Conrad, Jeff was pushed by this thing.
And I felt this force pushing my back, like a huge hand just pushing.
Look at his eyes. Look at his eyes.
And you were right there.
Look at his eyes.
I couldn't see what was pushing him, although I looked. We had a 1,000-watt light, which is about, I would say probably to my right, somewhere right in this.
1,000-watt light.
And again, I could.
I gotta see that face again.
Look at his eyes, dude. Look at his eyes, Tupa.
He's never experienced anything like this.
Yeah, he's got Harry Potter's on. He's like, I don't know, man. I thought we were gonna get some EVPs, but I'm getting sucked into an attic right now.
Dude, he's in belief mode right now. Like he's been shown something.
Oh, his whole paradigm, just, and not to promote Daniel Sheehan, who I think is a lying Scientologist, but his whole paradigm just got shifted, dude. He's like, he's holding the boom mic.
Right? He's like, stop the press.
I don't know.
We gotta bring the team in here. Bring the SWAT team.
My back.
Call the FBI.
I couldn't see what was pushing him, although I looked. We had a 1,000-watt light, which is
a lot of watts.
I would say probably to my right, somewhere right in this area.
And again, I could relate to what he felt at that time with the hand, because I felt that it's pushed me a couple times previously. And I knew the feeling that he described was a large bony hand. It was like that of a skeleton, but it was like 5 times the size of a normal hand.
The 1990s, strike again.
It covers the whole back, but you could feel the imprint of the fingers and everything. And he described exactly the same thing that I experienced. Barry Conrad, who witnessed it, said that there was as if a force was pushing him, but he didn't see anything actually touching him. As I recall, Jeff had to go get medical attention after that for his back, because it did something to when that happened. Something happened to his back and he had to go in.
That random sound stinger, though.
Yeah, dude, straight from Elvira, man. It's like Elvira, like it's literally Elvira, dude.
Dude, so this thing messes back up. Not only did it make contact, but afterward the injury kind of persisted. He had to go to the doctor for it.
Oh, dude, listen.
And it's always a giant hand. It's never a normal size hand.
This is like some Egon Spengler stuff. And by the way, just to be clear,
are you a Ghostbuster?
I mean,
I've never seen that in my life, Shane. That's a reveal. All the listeners, we just broke some news here. Skyfire News. Shane has a Ghostbusters tattoo on his shoulder. That's amazing.
Like, I really should be called Paranormal Shane and not UFO Shane, because I believe in the paranormal, like the ghost aspect, way more than the UFO stuff. Because, because of this, this case.
I believe it.
I stared.
Ghostbusters, friends of the show. Go ahead.
I stared at balls of gelatinous jelly light right in front of my face. They were right there. I mean, I can't say it any better. They were there. And the only case I've ever found that has ever come even remotely close is Jackie's. And then I talked to Jackie. And I believe your
case kind of reminds me of Donnie Decker's case. I got to be honest.
Yeah. Decker's case is pretty close.
Right. Even like the events leading up, like there's like a Donnie Decker vibe in there, but also that's not too far off from Hernandez's case. You know what I mean? It's not. I do believe the phenomenon might interact with men and women differently because of like what's going on. But like this is wild. Okay.
Well, why would it not though? Because men and women are different.
Oh, that's a good point.
Why would it not interact with them differently?
That's a good point. We're gonna get to the scariest part of this, but Shane, we're rounding up to an hour almost, right?
Oh, Jesus. I told you, man.
I know, but I would love to continue this conversation with you in another stream, and we could put it up for our members or something. We could just go full on extended. If you guys aren't members already to our YouTube channel, please log in. Just hit the join button. We're putting up extra content and diving into deep stuff like this too, kind of just for you guys, because we have stories to tell as well, man.
You know what's crazy? Is like we keep pausing this to talk about how like crazy this is, and it hasn't even gotten to the max level of crazy yet.
It hasn't, guys.
They haven't
so
even
much more stuff that happens in this case.
There's plasma oozing from walls. Oh man, I'm gonna shut the hell up and just let this go, because if you've never watched this, Tupa, on your Twitter account, you should post a link. If you have the full video of this, you should post it so people can just watch it.
Oh yeah,
because
but I'm probably going to do that after we do our members only continuation of this.
The best case,
but this is the best case, guys. This is
period.
This is bananas. This gets
Corey Calcum standard.
I love that standard. That's going to be, we got to come up with a bumper for that new standard. It's going to be scientific before the show's over. Hernandez is going to round off part 1. We might branch into part 2 because it is so freaking interesting.
Dude, it's wild, man. This case is wild.
It's crazy. And if you guys like this, I mean, Skyfire News, we cover, UFO and paranormal. This is definitely on the paranormal side. If you guys like this, hit us up in the comments. Let us know. If you guys want to see more content like this, let us know, because Shane and I love covering this stuff. I mean,
I can talk about this for like 15 hours straight.
He's easy, right? All right, back to Jackie.
Both came down from the attic. It was Jeff had also seen lights in the attic zoom by, which was another thing that I have also prior to their
bingo.
This is a dark
it
attic.
Seemed to be that he was the only one that it was focused on. He was the only one that actually saw things. And he actually got a still shot of one of the lights that was zooming by. And he also saw a giant shadow. And everybody...
Doesn't look like dust to me.
Everybody said that the odor was very strong. And everybody could smell it. And it was actually bothering some of them. And the whole feeling of the room just changed. It went from... all of a sudden, from being just an interview to something that was actually happening. I mean, this was actually happening and nobody could explain it.
Exactly.
And everybody was very scared. The looks on their faces, you just didn't know what was happening next.
You don't have to tell me, Jackie. We're
everybody was
right
in the
now.
kitchen. We were all congregated, talking, discussing the events. And then something started walking in the attic. Nobody was up there at that time.
Here we go. Here we go. It gets crazier, guys. It gets crazier.
My favorite image, Jackie, right there.
Yeah, these kind of dudes, the 90s, man.
Into part 1, we're not even going to talk. We're just going to go right into part 2. I want you guys to check this out. This is
that was actually happening. And the whole feeling of the room just changed. It went from...
Can you pause it real quick?
All of a sudden, from being just an interview.
Okay, this dude on the right here. I want to preface this because we are going to do part 2. Apparently, yeah, this man right here.
We're gonna slide into part 2, but we're almost out of time. We have to continue this into a members only video where people can watch it and where we can also kind of dive in.
Because let me tell you, it goes off the rail. Like if you thought it was off the rails now, it's not. This is actually on the rails.
Yeah, these are the rails.
It's not gonna just go off the rails. It's gonna keep running on magical rails that you don't understand that or exist.
Ooh.
Like it's gonna just like literally this case.
She wants to. By the end of it, she wants to go to war with this thing. They stay up all night, and she's just like, I want to go back in there. Like it's crazy.
We haven't gotten into the babysitter. We haven't got. You know what? I'm sorry, guys, but this is gonna be for part 2. I have to. I'm literally like, I'm trying to not. This is the best. This is by far, and if you don't want to wait for part 2, whatever, all I can say to you is to investigate this yourself, as you should do everything, as I have tried my best to do. And I have gone to bed every night listening to all of the cases. I've read every book you could read. I've done my best, and I'm telling you right now, look into this yourself. And when you think it's going off the rails, guess what? It's still on the rails, and it's about to go off the rails. It just jumps like, dude, this case goes wild. And that's why me and Tupa love this case. And like, I have joined tons of spaces. I've talked to everyone you can talk to, James Fox, everybody. And this never gets brought up when, in my opinion, this is the orichalcum standard. This is the max level for the paranormal happening to people in their lives.
It is. And I got everybody, I'm still in the mix. I have a camera malfunction and I don't know what's going on. I'm still in the mix though. Sorry about that, Shane.
Well, you have giant black eyes now too, bro.
Yeah, this is that AI stuff that was scary. This was the scariest image anyone on Twitter had ever seen until we saw Conrad with those glowing eyes. Like,
I have watched this tape several times. And I don't remember that being. I guess because you're watching it and you're like eating Cheetos and you don't realize. But dude, that was too. He's like, look, he's like, da-na. That was wild.
Dude,
That attic
scary.
was some crazy shit. And I've talked to one person that rented that house out. His name was George.
Van
I can't remember his
Tassel.
last name. No, not Van Tassel. But he lived there afterwards, and he didn't have any issues in this house. He had none. He literally said, I didn't experience anything. I was like, I'm talking to him, hoping he's gonna tell me, yeah, man, like shit's crazy. But then I talked to Jackie, and Jackie's like, yeah, well, it followed me. And but what it was that followed her, I don't know. And what, like honestly, we're talking about this case. There's so much more to this case that we can't cover in an hour. We can't cover in 2 hours, to be real with you. We probably need to do like a 74 part
I think
series.
so. I think we should. I think this is one of those things where we kind of have to maybe use this as an intro to get people, our listeners and our viewers, to understand the kind of very strong connections that exist between paranormal and the ufology side. Like there is a connection. We don't know. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I know why or how, but I can tell you that when you dive into a lot of both UFO cases and hauntings, there's what isn't commonly reported is the crossover. Like there are a lot of people who have hauntings who go outside and see a craft. There is a lot of people who see craft who come inside and have a haunting, and they just don't talk about it.
Dude, we should cover the Dawson case.
Oh, dude, we should.
We should cover
Guys,
Dawson. And
chat, if you guys have any cases you want us to cover, please leave a comment. We want to make sure we're covering the stuff that you guys want to hear about, that you guys want to see, especially if we happen to know a lot about it. But definitely, guys, leave some comments in here. We want to know what you guys want to know. But real quick,
and also real quick, if you have a case that's similar to this that I don't know about, please God message me on Twitter, and so I can look into it, because this case, it will fascinate me till the day I die. This is, you guys, a lot of people in here in the chat know me. They know Tupa. They know what we talk about. Someone said earlier, I know where Shane's coming from now. I'm not a disbeliever at all. And this is one of the reasons why, because this is the closest I've come to what happened to me. And I also just forget that. I don't think she's lying. I know in my heart she's not lying, but what I'm convinced of and what you're convinced of can be two totally different things. But there's no Stephen Greenstreet, there's no Michael Schumer debunking this case. It does not exist. They just don't talk about it. They just don't mention it. I wish we had our regular amount of viewers in here, but we did do this show random or spontaneously. But share this. Literally share this, show people this case. I mean, I'm speaking from the heart here as someone who doesn't like David Grush, doesn't like Lou Elizondo, doesn't like Daniel Sheehan, doesn't like Jimmy Corbell. But those are UFO guys. Screw that shit for a minute. Because the paranormal only means outside the normal. And I can guarantee you, from my personal experiences and from this case as my orichalcum standard, stuff is happening. And I don't know what it is. And this right here is why. Because I saw what I saw and I thought I was crazy. And this is the one case I found that was similar. And we haven't even gotten into the babysitter. We haven't even gotten into that. We talked about the attic for 30 minutes, Tupa? Your mic's muted, Tupa.
I just got some crazy camera on here too as a second option. So I'm sorry, I'm all up in y'all's faces, but I don't know what's going on.
We talked about the attic for 30 minutes, and man, there's an hour and a half left on the attic. It's not even done.
It's a lot. There's a lot to this case. And so, there's going to be a lot to dive into. I'm glad that we have you here, Shane. I'm glad that we have the ability to do these live streams and to continue to kind of add to them. And we have a new format now, because this kind of stuff in spaces just doesn't really cross over. It doesn't really sell. It's hard to explain. We can only talk about what Conrad's face looks, how terrified he is so many times, right? But now you guys can see it. And that's awesome too. And shout out to the filmmakers who made the San Pedro haunting. Shout out to them for sure. The 80s and the 90s were not an easy time to produce this kind of content at all. It was actually pretty rough to do this and then to put it out and not know where it was going to go. They put a lot of production behind it. They have the creepy hand. They have the guy in the flannel. They did a lot to make this kind of go, and just shout out to them. and to Jackie for like being in the mix and allowing them to come through and do this. We got a couple minutes left. I'm going to skim through a little bit as kind of a teaser for you guys. Again, smash that like and subscribe button. If this is the kind of content you want to see more of, or you want to continue it, become a member. We're going to continue this video on there because there's a lot to dive into. And we're going to give you just a little bit of reasons why part 2 is just barely scratching the surface.
It went from all of a sudden from being just an interview to something that was actually happening. I mean, this was actually happening and nobody could explain it. What happened? It's something grabbed that out of my hand. I'm not kidding. Somebody grabbed the whole thing out of my hand. Just now. It grabbed the whole thing out of my hand.
Run. Yeah.
Okay.
Hear it? Hear it?
Look at how she's putting her palms back.
Walking down.
Look at how she's literally putting her palms back. Like, I don't want to touch this, but I need to. Like a live wire. You know, like she's afraid.
Like those conduits are connected.
Look at her fucking face right now. I'm sorry to cuss. I'm sorry. I can't help it.
And you can hear. You can hear.
Go ahead and talk. Go ahead and
That's
talk.
where the noises come from. Sometimes there's a noise
sweating.
like a deep hum. It's come from right here in midair. It's come from right
So
in the
you've heard
center.
noises in this room?
Oh yeah, deep humming. It comes from right here, right in the center of the room. And there's nothing here. Then I remember we went into.
Dude, we got to stop it there, dude. Like you said, look at her face. This is real terror. She doesn't know what's going on. She doesn't know what's going on. Has no idea, like, you know, about it. Finally has people there, and she's looking at them, and they can hear it too. She's seeing them, and they're having their experiences too. And she's like, "Told you so."
Yeah, dude. Look at her face, man. I know more about this case than most people, so look into this case. But besides that, look at her face. Look at her hands. She's like, you know, like you can't make that. You can act like people can make this stuff up.
Sure,
I guess. But I'm trying to like. I'm a debunker, so I guess in a way sometimes, but really, like when it can do,
I think you're not a debunker. You're a skeptical believer because you're a skeptical experiencer. You know what I mean? It's like you can't debunk what you know and what you've seen, but like in this field, in the field of ufology, especially as it pertains to like social media ufology, they are artificial lines drawn where you're either one side or the other. When in reality, dude, if you just got your head on straight, you can see value to both things, being skeptical about some of the crazy stuff that you see until you see proof of it, but also knowing that there's more to life and there's more to the universe than just everything we can see and everything that's been written about. And there's so much more out there. I think a lot of our viewers would agree with that. Honestly, that's why we're here. That's why they're here watching Skyfire News. I mean, you know, we're diving into this stuff together, but we're not trying to draw lines. You know, if anything, like
look at her finger bent in a weird way. That shows that she's putting pressure on that.
Oh yeah, she's
literally like,
she's not faking nothing, dude.
Like, I mean, I don't like. I know for a fact that people are watching this that are debunkers they're gonna. I assume I'll see posts about Jackie Hernandez tomorrow.
Yes, and I think so too. I
think there are parts of this case that people will bring up, and guess what? I know about all of them, and I've tried to debunk this case myself. But look. You're all human. You all live your lives. Now imagine that this happens to you and you're sitting there in your kitchen doing this. And you're like, I'm not crazy. I am not crazy. I thought I was crazy.
Yes.
Because
what she's describing now is that this is where I normally hear the voices and I hear footsteps. Like I'm normally like in here by myself. My kids are kind of like playing and I'm not trying to like freak them out, but I'm in here living this nightmare. And this is where it's happening. And now she gets a chance to really look at these other filmmakers and regular people who were there. There's like multiple her friends. She's got 2 friends there, maybe 3, and then 3 or 4 of the filmmaking crew are there. And now they're all hearing it. They're being snatched up. They're being like pushed.
Oh, dude!
And they can
all of these people, Tupa, won the lottery. They won the lottery because this stuff is very real. But when it comes to this level of it, it's very rare.
Dude, you know what this reminds me of?
Yeah, go ahead.
The film. Not a lot of people know about this. If you've ever seen the film The Poltergeist, there's a film crew that shows up there in that movie to watch the haunting, and they see orbs of light right? And the camera crew there hit the lottery. They're finally filming something crazy. A lot of people don't know about this.
We've done 300 cases before this. We got an EVPs. We got nothing.
Exactly.
And then you come here and you just boom, you just won $1 million on a scratch off, baby.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, like that's the thing is like I know the paranormal is real, but I also know that if you have had the chance to see it, you're very lucky in a weird, kind of sadistic way.
Yeah, that's true.
Because it can affect you in ways that whenever, you know, you go to public schools, you go to school systems, and you're not taught this. You have your religion, and you're not told what to do when this happens to you. But this case shows you that it does happen.
Kind of what it is too. And shout out, hop into our Twitter account or X, give us a comment. Let us know if you've had a paranormal experience. Cause like,
please,
it changes you. Like in what it changed for me when I was a kid, I saw something that didn't make no sense. You know what I mean? Like, and what it did for me was it allowed my brain didn't have a baseline. I didn't have a baseline of what was possible, what wasn't. What if I walked into a dark room, what could come out? I thought after I saw what I saw, it was a fair game. I thought that anything could come out. And my friends didn't have that same understanding. They weren't ever shown anything that stretched their boundaries of what reality was. They're very much, 10 toes in the ground. They're like, okay, you know what I mean? But for me,
yeah.
It just
and also real quick, there's a guy in the chat saying there's no evidence. There's evidence on this case. There's evidence. There is photographic evidence that we did not show because it's a part of part 2. This case has evidence. It has ectoplasm that turned out to be plasma from the human body leaking from her walls. There are videos of that leaking from her walls.
Yeah.
There are pictures that I'm trying to say in part 2, but they're like, if you want to, like, this case has actual evidence. I'm the actual evidence guy. You're preaching to someone who does not believe in something without real circumstantial evidence, who's not like, I'm that dude, right? I don't know why, Ashes, but I think your comment earlier, Ashes, where you talked about why it was attached to Jackie, I think that has a lot to do with it.
Oh yeah.
But you're saying, this case doesn't have evidence. Well, you haven't read about this case. You're just saying that because
no, I think they're waiting for us. We're going to present it. I mean, we're going to have to present it, dude. Part 2 has a lot of stuff in there, but even in a documentary 2-parter, you can't include everything. There's a lot of stuff that ends up.
This case has more paranormal evidence, Chupacabra, than any other paranormal case I have ever studied. Anyone who knows me knows I do not back up anything if I don't have evidence. And this case has evidence stacked. Not circumventional, not anecdotal. I'm talking photographic from the 90s, of course. But and then that evidence literally is back. Like, so you have a photograph, right? And it's showing something weird.
Right.
That's crazy. And then you have the people who were there when the photograph was taken. That's not anecdotal. That's witness testimony on a thing that you actually have proof of, which is we don't have in ufology, but this case has it. This mother effing case has it.
And guys, this is the Jackie Hernandez haunting, the San Pedro haunting. Look her up. All right, look her up. Like Shane said, go look for yourself and then see what you want to see. Shane and I, this case has been close to us. I could tell, right? For years, we've known about this. You spoke with Jackie, and I cannot wait to talk to you about what and how you spoke to her, and to see if we can get her on Skyfire News, because there's something going on. Seeing light orbs. If you're new to ufology and you haven't heard about these orbs yet, the orbs of light that float around and the theories surrounding what they are, I'll tell you right now, the leading theories of the orbs are that they're souls or something, right? But they are included in a lot of UFO encounters. So what are these? That's where this crossover is. That's where the crossover is in these, what do you call them? The morphology of some of this phenomenon, the way it looks, the way it presents itself. The paranormal, the hauntings, the weird kind of exorcism, that kind of stuff is finding its way directly into the UFO field, because it was largely ignored before. It's not like ufologists are getting bored. We're not getting bored and having to dip into ghost stories, all right? There's a connection that not a lot of people talk about, and I frankly believe that's one of the barriers between us and the truth, is that they're going to talk about, if disclosure happens the way we want it to happen, total catastrophic slow drip disclosure, right? Yeah, whenever it happens, a lot of people, a lot of researchers who know their stuff are fully prepared for the UFO alien topic to cross over into studies of souls and studies of what's going on here. I'm not no preacher. I'm not going to tell you what a soul is. I can just tell you that even people like other researchers from the same era, right? We have Carla Turner. Carla Turner was a researcher, independent, who did a lot of work with MUFON way back in the day. And I think she passed away in the early 90s from brain cancer shortly after she was presenting her evidence of alien abductees. She was talking and interviewing with hundreds of abductees, and it literally like changed her mind about what was going on with the phenomena. And she has a list of 10 facts that she presented at a MUFON symposium. And in those list of 10 facts about alien abductions are like the aliens seem to have an interest in the human soul. That's fact number 10. Spoiler alert, it's going to blow your mind. If you guys want to see that, go to Skyfire News X account, our Twitter account. All right, we produced a video that literally clips that up, and she walks you through it. Carla Turner walks you through each step and breaks it down for you. This is a woman who was in, like, she has a book called Taken, I believe. So she knew what she was talking about, and she references this crossover. Something's happening with Jackie. I would love to talk to Jackie and find out if she ever saw Craft, right? If she ever like her, what kind of experience she may or may not have had with anything outside of the ghost stuff and more directly in to the UFO stuff. But Shane, it's 4 minutes past our time, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna cut this as a part 1 of this dive in. Okay, Shane and I are going to produce another episode of this. Maybe it'll end up in members only. If you guys aren't members yet, I suggest you become a member. Our channel just started. We are a week into this. This is our first weekend show, and we're pumped about it. And we're going to keep putting more stuff out like this. Again, use the comments, go to our Twitter account, let us know what you guys want to see, and be on the lookout for part 2 of our 1980s paranormal, right? Where we get to dive into Jackie Hernandez and the craziness of this case.
Dude, I love this topic. I love it. And I'm so glad that we talked, dude. I didn't know early this morning that we're going to talk about Jackie Hernandez. But Tupa's known me for a year now, and I think he's heard me talk about this. And I'm the only guy other than Tupa who ever brings this case up. Period.
Yeah, no one does.
Ever again.
Yeah, it's like the documentary doesn't exist or something. But
yeah, and it happened in the 90s, and that was whatever. Like, listen, there are a few cases I can quote that are similar to this, and they're in the UK. But and there's one in the United States with the witch case that happened in Alabama. But
I can't wait to hear about the witch case, dude. Like, dude, I think
Andrew Jackson is involved. It's a whole thing.
No way.
But the thing is that I am someone who doesn't believe anything. And there are people that will tell you they know what's going on, and this case will show you that no one has a freaking clue.
Yeah.
Because you can analyze this case and we'll in part 2. Maybe part 3 or part 700, whatever we do, I will go through how I tried to debunk this and what the debunkers will do. And they'll go into like a bunch of different things we'll talk about later. But it didn't check out for me. And, I debunk things all the time.
Just roll out. It's the music we're playing ourselves out to.
Follow Skyfire News.
Follow Skyfire News. Oh, Shane, you're gonna do a space after this?
I am. I am.
Now you're wired.
I can't talk about Jackie Hernandez and not keep talking about how cool this stuff is.
Okay, guys, follow Shane, UFO Shane on Twitter, because you're gonna want to get in that Twitter space. Again, this is X Twitter for now. For the next 6 months, we're going to use both names because no one knows the hell we're talking about when we just say X.
I just call it Twitter. I don't know.
Exactly. But get in there, okay? Get in to X, follow UFO Shane, and get into that space. Shane hosts legendary spaces. We have some great people in the chat I want to say what's up to. We got Ashers. Ashers, welcome to the show. I clicked random comment on yours, and it just happened to be the odor of dead bodies.
The odor of dead corpses.
My bad. We got Jan in the mix. Jan, good to see you. Good to meet you guys. Lexi Scott popped in here, and she just said, is Keem here? Great question, Lexi. TBD. TBD. And then we have Memory Hole 370. Pretty sick. I feel like I finally understand Shane's beliefs. Yeah. We're diving in. I want to thank Heather Birdie for modding today. Just can't thank you enough.
Great
We got Red Bars watching, Mike and Jules. Pepper goes in the mix. Good to see you. And Hood Hustler, just amazing to have you here. We got Sandy. Thank you guys all for being here. Red Panda's here. Red Panda's also, I mean, obviously Skyfire, right? But
we should do Dorothy Ozat though. That's pretty good case.
I will talk about Dorothy Izat in the same way you will talk about Jackie Hernandez, and we both know, right? We both know about it. So if you guys don't know about Dorothy Izat, I think that might be that might be tomorrow's show. That might be a show for next week, maybe next weekend.
We'll see.
We'll see. Who else? AG Squad is in here, and just shout out to B, shout out to Kimball. You guys make the chat. Shout out to Kent, dude. Yeah, you guys make these shows worth it and fun and interactive. Shane, you crushed it today, dude. I don't know what else we could do besides just say peace out, and we'll see you in UFO Shane space. See you, man. Until next time, guys.
Thanks,
Peace.
guys. Peace out.